Hello everyone. Today is June 13 and let's get started. GST brought down on 14 COVID relief goods. Yesterday we talked about that this will be happening soon because government was hinting on it, and today this is the good news. New declassification policy gets nod. Okay, so what is this declassification policy? However, a declassification of older wars like 1962 war is not automatic and will be taken up on a case-by-case basis by a committee. According to the policy, records should originally be declassified in 25 years. Records older than 25 years should be appraised by archival experts and transferred to the National Archives of India once the war operation histories have been compiled. So this is about suppose you were part of a war and it was like 25 years older, like it's been more than 25 years, then you can, I mean, talk about it, and the government is also subjected to, open it to public. I mean, everyone can have a look at it. You don't have to keep it classified. Breach exposes government officials' data to hackers. Email and passwords of hundreds of union government officials have been exposed to hackers due to the recent data breaches of Air India, Domino's, and Big Basket. Oh, okay. Bhawanipur bipole widens Congress, left, allies divided and opposing Mamta. The by-election to the Bhawanipur Assembly segment in Kolkata, where Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is set to seek re-election, will test the strength of the five-year-old Left Congress Electoral Alliance in West Bengal. Okay, so let's go. Operation Olivia to rescue of Olivia Ridley. The Coast Guard helps enforce laws to protect turtles as they arrive to the nest in Odisha. I think it's a good thing they are like doing efforts to save animals. Tales of horror. Let's see what it is. Um, I don't know why, but it's not getting opening, so let's move to the other one. CM launches 22 oxygen plants at 9 hospitals. Okay, this is for Delhi. Finally, they have done the things that they should have done like 3 months back. Two policemen assaulted at Singhu border. Sustained injuries. This is wrong. Maybe they did something, I don't know. 2041 draft plan envisions capital as a 24-hour city. Document lays out steps to promote nighttime economy. Apart from promoting the concept of a 24-hour city and fostering nighttime economy, the draft master plan for Delhi 2041 also proposes to encourage public transporters such as the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation and Delhi Transport Corporation to operate low-frequency nighttime services along earmarked routes across the national capital. That is good. I think they are moving towards making it a New York in a way. In its bid to develop and strengthen economic centers, the plan proposes to foster nighttime economy. Not precincts or circuits shall be identified for continuing work, cultural activity, and entertaining at night to attract tourists and locals. This will be good public transport congestion charges to de-incentivize private transport and increase reliance on public share modes of transport. The draft plan also proposes a congestion pricing. What is a congestion pricing and restricting availability of public parking in markets, cultural hub, and work centers. Road owning agencies, in consultation with traffic police, shall notify specific areas in the city as congestion pricing zone. Parking charges to be used as a tool for disincentivizing private transport usage. I think this means that you'll not have to pay for it. Tactical urbanization measures to convert street into fully pedestrian zones for specific time duration to be encouraged so that overall traffic flow is not hampered. This is also a good sign. The model they are planning to create is really going to be beneficial in terms of tourist attractions and in terms of attracting individuals to enjoy nightlife. I mean, making them come out at night more and more. This will be good. Let's see what happens. Sisodia's accusation on Punjab school education atrocious. Aminder Singh says our leader is obsessed with electoral politics. They are everyone. No, nothing. Take corrective steps on housing scheme. Center pulls up Odisha after irregularities found out in PMAY implementation. After coming across large-scale irregularities in the implementation of Prime Minister Awas Yojana Gramin in Odisha, the center has asked the state government to take corrective measures. A center team led by Gaya Prasad recover funds. I think there's this term जो हम बोलते हैं घूसखोरी. Maybe it's there. Let her face law here. IS recruiter's mother. Wow. So this is related to the four women Kerala women who were denied to come back to like India. Appeal for CBI probe into Rosewood felling in Kerala. Two FIRs against Kannada actor Chetan. Okay, I think it's time to move to policemen among four killed in militant strike in Jammu and Kashmir. Amen. Mehul Choksi denied bail by Dominica High Court. Coast Guard inducts three ALH Mk3 helicopters HL to supply a total of 16 choppers by mid next year. It's good. It will strengthen the strengths of Air Force. Pawar Kishore meeting like for the Coast Guard. Sorry, a mistake. Meeting kickstarts anti-BJP front. New declassification policy. Okay, we have already covered it. Let's move to editorial then. Yes. Uh, editorial is अभी तक नहीं. Okay, let's go with this. No trade-off between lives and livelihoods in the long run. India has a problem that is different and deeper than the problem that the rich countries have, says a former lead economist of World Bank. As the world stumbles through a second year of COVID-19 pandemic, it is clear that both its catastrophic toll on human life and the severe socio-economic dislocation it has caused. They are talking about the palayan, the migration of migrant workers. Yet there is growing inequality associated with governments and private citizens' responses to the pandemic regarding access to vaccine and policies to support vulnerable groups. So this individual is a former lead economist in the World Bank research. You have for decades studies capitalism, analyzing its subtypes, liberal and political capitalism. Okay, the pandemic has thrown its features into relief. How would you describe the way capitalist system across the world have responded to this global crisis? If I were to summarize now the situation, I would say that both the US and China have played up to their strong suits and really have played very miserably in the areas where they were weak. Okay, let's see what where we are falling. Vaccine shortages have hobbled India's battle against the COVID-19 virus. In this case of domestic inequality getting exacerbated by global inequality. In India's case, we have to be a little bit careful. If we had this conversation in February, India was actually considering a success case compared to the expectations, which were quite dire for India. Talking into account what happened in 1988, the fact that it has an enormous country with many people living in close proximity. It could be said that the disregard by the government to the danger of the second wave and maybe the disregard by the people who believe that the virus was behind them led to the catastrophe that we have witnessed in last 2 months. India has a problem that is difficult to and deeper than the problem that the rich countries have. Rich countries such as US and Europe have been able to go through massive stimulus packages and support packages, whereas there is nothing, not even close to what they were giving. Like we don't have it. Like you get a stimulus check of like $4,000 or something like that in US. Like it is delivered at your door to lift up the economy because you are going to spend that money. Second, the poor population in India is huge, but it was pointed out from very early on that the lockdown are not really a trade-off in the sense that the lockdowns are saving lives and enabling a relative fast return to economic activity. This is a trade-off on a daily basis, but if you maybe extended 1 or 2 months, the trade-off disappeared. Does India's model of capitalism fall beyond liberal capitalism? It's not by accident that India had a planning commission given the very strong influence of the Soviet Union in the organization of the economic sphere in terms of planning the economy so as to be able to grow faster. That was the similarity which India had in past year. Like in past. If you look at India today, it is much closer to liberal capitalism because of the political system. Okay, claims of CoWIN hacking and database are baseless center. That is good. Uh, Expand GST waivers, urges Punjab Minister. It's a good thing. It should be expanded, honestly. Okay, PLA campaign highlights LSE action. Okay, ad of CPC centenary soldiers to present China's flag raised on Pangong Lake during national wide tour. Twofold message. The aim to learn and internalize the spirit of President Xi's important speech delivered during his recent visit to Hsinchu University and to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China. PLA said, okay, the campaign appears amid at delivering a twofold message targeted more at domestic audience than abroad to declare the military's unequivocal support to Mr. Xi and also to send a message through of patriotism ahead of July 1st anniversary. The PLA is unique among militaries in serving first and foremost a political party and not a state. And political education is a key part of military training in China. Okay. Security of airport embassies Afghan responsibility. China US diplomats clash over human rights pandemic origin. Putin hopes Biden is not impulsive like Trump. British PM wants European Union over post-Brexit trade-in. Sri Lanka seeks 40 million in damages over ship fire. Okay, let's move. Will 25% vaccines for private hospital aggravate inequity? Yeah, this was a major question. I think we should read it. It allowed, like the center allowed 25% vaccine to be procured by private hospitals, and 75 is under central now, whereas the policy was little bit different earlier. It is prudent to allocate 25% of vaccine supplies to private hospital when there is a shortage of vaccine, thus selling vaccine, but that too at a far higher prices go against the grain of universal free vaccination program that is needed during pandemic. The universal vaccine program should provide for free vaccines at all. The goal of the immunization program should be clearly defined whether it is prevention of severe disease or death. Um, Moreover, allocation of one-fourth of the vaccine at an average 7 to 8 fold higher price essentially means that the total cost which people have to pay vaccines would be around 1.75 to 2-fold higher than what the government would spend for three-fourths of the vaccine supply. At the vaccine sharing formula of the total COVID-19 vaccine cost in India, two-thirds will be paid by the people, then it probably predominantly a paid program rather than a free vaccination program as the government is calling it. Uh, um, Let's see what we. Serum is supposed to increase the capacity to 100 million doses per month by July. Covaxin production too is supposed to increase to 60-70 million per month by July. August by the government is set to procure only 250 million Covishield doses and 190 million doses of Covaxin between August and December. This translates to procurement of just 50 million doses of Covishield and 38 million doses of Covaxin per month. Okay, I think it is tourism in public health that we need to accurately measure what matters in order to decide what action needs to be taken. If measurement is inaccurate, then there will be a problem. There are several alternative ways of deciding on allocation, and perhaps the simplest is to do on the basis of the eligible population. I think we need to be aware that the most important thing is to be vaccinated as quickly as possible. Allotment based on disease burden would require an approach that could saturate on most affected areas with vaccine to prevent further spread. I think 50%. There is no issue with it because people are experiencing problem with getting the free vaccine. So if they can afford it, then it's cool to go with the paid one. I mean, there is no problem with it. Me the Bati Bhatyalacusis tapani, a coronavirus reptile that lived 250 million years ago. Okay, I don't think we have to. A molecular view of SARS-CoV-2, the novel coronavirus. How scientists make out the difference between variants of a virus. Okay. With increasing knowledge of chemical principle, it has possible to move from the test tube to theoretical studies of molecule, their structure, and their interaction. Just as there are games that let you stimulate the landing of an aircraft, so in the same way, you can spike up the amino acid and protein and all, and you can see back in the real world, many of us have anxiously followed the progress of the COVID-19 pandemic, looking for signs of it slowing down. We have learned new jargons, get accustomed to scary images of a ball-like virus, particle study with spikes. Okay. The protein molecule is a chain of 1273 amino acid and three individual molecules locked together to form the family of spike shape. The 484 is the position in the chain realized within the effects of mutations. Notice that the mutation has replaced a negatively charged glutamate with a positively charged lysine. Will this board will be well for us humans? No, it is having the chances of replacement. Molecular modeling allows you to try out thousands of potential candidates for narrowing down to the best few candidates that could then be tested in a real laboratory. So they are saying that by stimulating it and by mutating it, by spiking the protein content and other stuff, this is done. Changes in vaccine policy for COVID-19. I think we have already talked about that. What is the outlook for June supply? How is the practical? Okay, we have Bitcoin push. How does El Salvador plan to use a cryptocurrency as legal tender and what are the risks involved? So El Salvador has actually legalized Bitcoin and it accepts it. Like you can buy groceries even with this, like throughout the country. And in case you invest in Bitcoin, then you are like you can shift to there and get the citizenship also. The law pushed by its 39-year-old president Nayib Bukele passed with 62 out of 84 votes. It mandates that Bitcoin should now be accepted as a valid payment for all establishments, except those that do not have the technical wherewithal to do that. This puts the digital currency that does not answer to any government monetary policies on the same footing as the country's primary concern. Why is the US dollar the currency in El Salvador? El Salvador fully dollarized its economy in 2001. Countries adopted and like they adopted to this and the US that raise that may benefit the US economy but end up hurting economies that will use the same currency. How is the rationale for using the bill that Mr. Bukele proposed said the central banks are increasingly taking action that may cause harm to economic stability of El Salvador and according to World Bank data, remittance remittance, right, made up almost 6 billion in 2019, which was about 20% of country's GDP and one of the highest ratios in the world. By enabling the transfer of money via Bitcoin, Mr. Bukele says El Salvadorians will save on transaction fees of bank and agencies. Politically, the current government in El Salvador and Joe Biden administration in the United States are at odds. Recently, some of President Bukele's right-hand men found mention in a U.S. State Department list of corrupt officials in Central America. How does Bitcoin work? I mean, it's a decentralized cryptocurrency and end-to-end. Like no one can understand like किसके किसके बीच में like like a transaction हुआ. And it's risky also. The risk also no one can keep a tab on. Like uh, like no one can monitor your activity. What a government very um, according to Mr. Bukele, the government will protect citizens from the volatility of Bitcoin prices by guaranteeing quick converting to dollar. If a subscriber does not want to hold the Bitcoin which they now have to accept from customer, the government will purchase it through a $150 million trust credit to country's development bank. Okay, let's see क्या होता है. New guidelines on remdesivir steroids. Why the center revises the protocol for mild cases and which drugs are not recommended anymore. The story so far: the Union Health Ministry has revised its guideline for the treatment of COVID-19 patients, particularly for the use of steroids, with doctors reporting a worrying rise in medical complications such as mucormycosis due to the abuse of drugs, therapies, and during treatment. The new protocol advises doctors to drop from usage medicines such as ivermectin, doxycycline, and hydrochloroquine to treat mild COVID-19 cases. The revised guideline issued on May 27 recommended use of antibiotics for fever and anti-psoriasis for cold in asymptomatic and mild cases. What are the complications? I mean, yeah, black fungus was a part of it, I guess. Like if you were taking oral medication. For which drugs have been dropped from the list? Okay, we already talked about it. Why do the guidelines specify on medicine? The ministry has also revised its policy on remdesivir, stating that it can be only given to select moderate, severe hospitalized COVID-19 patient. asymptomatic, has a children been suggested for children for has anything okay has anything been suggested for children with COVID-19? The government has issued comprehensive guidelines for the management of COVID-19 among children under 18 years of age, in which remdesivir has not been recommended and rational use of high resolution computed tomography imaging has been suggested. Also, the guidelines note that the steroids are harmful in asymptomatic and mild cases of infection. Mask is not recommended for children below 5 years of age. For asymptomatic infection among children, the children recommend no specific medication and advise following appropriate measures. Wearing a mask, following okay. Doctors have noted that the high percentage of children who got infected and were hospitalized during the second wave, either comorbids or low immunity. They added that the healthy children will, with mild illness, recovered without the need of hospitalization, and that is a good thing. That is a very good thing, honestly. Reviving the spirit of multilateralism, the G7 countries seek to overcome the internal differences and strengthen their economy and geopolitical bond to face multiple challenges, from fighting COVID-19 to tracking the rise of China. Let's see. Sorry. As the leaders of the seven nations, the US, Germany, UK, France, Canada, Japan, and Italy met in Cornwall in southwest England, this would be marking the 47th edition of the Group of the Seven summit. Already, most steps remain. Economic differences. When the G7 summits began in the mid 19th century, the head of the state sought to resolve economic differences related to the exchange rate policy, growth, inflation, energy, blah blah blah. Okay. As the summit progressed, the emphasis on economic issues remains salient and endured, but the heads of state began to prioritize other matters as well, especially after the end of the Cold War. Which is good thing. The G8 reverted to G7 again in 2014 following Russia's expansion after its annexation of Crimea. Okay, global health. So they focus on global health, and side by side they also focus on the like economic factors like the inflation rates and the exchange rate and stuff. YSR's daughter is entering active politics, Telangana with her own party, a bureaucrat for all seasons. The former UF chief secretary has been appointed election commissioner. Okay, mega events. Let's move business. Device subsidies to spur EV demand, electric vehicle. Oh, that is good. I think because of this, EV electric vehicles, right? I think you'll get subsidies. Tesla will get subsidies on, like when it opens, like when it gets operational. Helicopter approach helped Roku past corridor. Sorry. Uh, I don't think there is anything else to cover for today. So thank you all, and I hope you guys like the way like my audio today. I hope there's no audio issues, and I'm working on it. So very soon I'll have a mic. Along with that, please like the video because it really helps, and I'm getting like 20 views or 30 views. So if like you guys watch it till the end, then it will be good if you'll subscribe and like the video. Thank you.